a Tuesday. And who are you wonderful people, and where are you from, and how did you get together?
Not everybody go at once. We are Walker X. I'm Tim. Bruce is. Say hi, Bruce.
I'm Froze on the screen down below.
Okay.
I look like that dude looking over the wall.
I'm Cassie.
Oh, I lost you. There we are. There we are. Okay, sorry. I lost the stream for a second.
No.
Continue.
So anyway, we are like 3/5 of Valkyrie X. We got together probably right around 2.5, 3 years ago. Me and the original drummer of this band decided to get back together. We had been in a previous band, and we decided to get back together and start a new project. We started jamming together, and then just started bringing people in. Bruce had known us for a real long time. He was a fan of our previous band. So when we started this project, he was real interested, and we got him over here playing guitar with us. Started auditioning singers, trying to find the right vocals for what we wanted. And it took a little while to convince Cassie to come in and start singing with us. But once Cassie came in and we got all the parts together, it just kind of gelled and became a thing.
Ah, right on. Awesome. I'm just, sorry guys, I'm just checking the message. Okay, it's just me. This is what happens when technical difficulties happen, when it's just me running the show.
No, that's all right.
Okay, I see that a couple of you are having an issue getting into the show. Let me see. Okay, sorry guys, I can't text and talk at the same time. So while I'm sending this message, I had noticed on your page that you guys were doing the Empire of Fire tour. Did you want to talk a little bit about that while I'm trying to pull the rest of your bandmates in?
Oh, sure. Awesome. That was actually the show that we were talking about earlier before you started when we were in Illinois. That was part of the Empire of Fire tour. We had a blast out in Illinois, by the way. The Looney Bin's a great bar out there. The people in Illinois and the other bands were all great. The next stop on the Empire of Fire tour that we're doing is in Youngstown, Ohio, which is at the end of June, 26th. It's at a place called the West Side Bowl, which is really, really cool. It's like a bowling alley, but half of it's this great big huge stage. They're really set up really well to have bands there. Got a kitchen and a bar and whatever. There's going to be like, 6 bands? Either 5 or 6 bands playing that night. Whole lot of great music. And then the weekend after that, we're doing the next stop on the Empire of Fire tour, which is at Coyote Ugly in Salisbury, North Carolina. Nice. So that's over the 4th of July weekend. That should be a lot of fun.
Right on. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. We miss touring and all that stuff up here. I'm really happy to hear that things are starting to open up for you guys and for a lot of areas in the States. That's great. So I've managed to pull in another one of you. I don't see any video, but do we have audio?
Yeah, I think.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Mike Behrens. I play drums.
Mike is the new guy. He's the newest member.
Okay, sweet.
He's been doing an awesome job. So.
And how did Mike become a part of the band? Since we've talked about earlier at the beginning of the interview how you guys all got together.
We bought him off a tomato truck.
Sorry, say that again?
Nothing. I had a hell of a time getting on the computer, so I ended up doing it on my phone.
Yeah.
That would be Jamie, our bass player, by the way.
Okay,
hello,
perfect.
everybody.
So
right on.
We're all kind of here now.
So we're all here now? Sweet.
Yeah, it looks that way. We had a bit of a technical difficulty at the beginning of the show, but it wouldn't be our show if we didn't have some kind of issue. So, yeah. So, no, that's, sorry, what was that?
I was gonna say we're kind of adept at overcoming technical difficulties. So, being in a band, you come across a lot of that.
Yeah. There's definitely a process to overcoming a lot of the difficulties when it comes to this industry. But it seems like you guys are doing really well since you guys are back into touring and stuff. What was it like for you guys? Do you find that the issues with COVID have helped you guys as a band? Like, is there areas that it's bettered you guys?
I don't know that it's helped. We were actually gaining a lot of momentum before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the whole COVID thing's kind of sucked a little bit. But we are happy that things are picking back up now. There's a lot of places that are opening back up and, having shows again.
Yeah.
Being able to go out of state and play is awesome. Playing local shows, it's starting to pick up a little bit around here. We've got some bars that are, booking shows again now. And
that's awesome.
I guess the only good thing to the pandemic is that a lot of people have been just sitting around at home and like dying to get out to shows. So now that things are opening back up, there's a lot of people that like really want to get out and see bands. So
yeah. Right on. That's good. That's good. I'm happy to hear that people are just, just waiting to get back out there as opposed to being nervous or scared about, getting back into society and stuff like that. That's awesome. I'm really happy for that.
It doesn't seem like we've come across a lot of people that are like afraid to come out to bars. The people that come out to shows are like all gung ho to be out and seeing bands and whatever.
Right on. Good. That gives us Canadians hope.
Right.
Speaking of which, where are you guys from?
I guess you could say we're
Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, we're a Northeast Ohio band.
Okay.
Mostly based out of like the Akron, Canton area.
Okay. Awesome. Right on. I live in Niagara Falls, and I have to say, being in growing up working in the tourist area of Niagara Falls and meeting people from all over the world, people from Ohio are definitely on the top of the list.
Thank you.
It's pretty crazy. It's like every time I meet people from Ohio, they're I'd say equally as nice as our East Coast Canadians, if not nicer. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So you guys seem like you're really comfortable in your element of being a live band versus a recorded band. What's your writing process like?
That's awesome.
We have a weird writing process. Mostly I'll come in with something new riffs or whatever, and the whole band will jam on it. And usually after we run through it a few times, Cassie's like right on with the vocals. But you definitely said something that is definitely me. I don't know about everybody else in the band, but playing live is like my thing. I would much rather play live in front of audiences, in front of fans, and record anytime.
Yeah, that's why I asked what your writing process was like, because you guys look very, very comfortable live.
Yeah, we're a live band, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, some bands are.
A lot of this stuff is a revamped version of what I watched 10 years ago with Tim's old band. So it's got different nuances and different feel. I would consider it more palatable among other genres. Because Tim's metal music more into I would say a smoother metal, if that's even remotely possible. But I mean, I think everybody contributes. Everyone brings something to the table in terms of how it's different. And I think that's why the music is potentially successful. I think it fits a lot of different people's tastes.
You guys just seem very, very comfortable together on stage, very tight.
I would say we're tight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why I asked what your writing process was like, because you guys just seem to be very natural. And I myself am not a musician, so I assume that it's like write, record, as well as play live shows. Do you guys find that you're equally as comfortable when you're recording?
A little more stress.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, right on. That's awesome. What are the influences for you guys?
Oh, that's
individually and as a band.
Yeah, like all of us are influenced by different things. And like Bruce said just a minute ago, we all bring something different to the band. So that includes all our influences. I'm definitely influenced by later 80s bands. I'm a big Pantera fan, Black Label Society, but mostly in this band musically, I draw more influences from like the classic stuff, Black Sabbath, Zeppelin, Deep Purple. Whereas Bruce,
years ago in high school, I was the metalhead, and then I changed. I was always a classic rocker though too. So I'm a huge Rush fan. I'm a big Joe Walsh fan. And somebody somewhere, I think from Australia, did a review of one of our songs. And the funniest part about it was the dude said, with a hint of country, and I will gladly take credit for the country aspect of it because I like country, but I'm limited on how much I listen to it. But this guy had a whole extreme of genres that he explained us with, and I couldn't help but laugh about the country factor because I'm like, okay, I'll take credit for the country. So it's with everybody, and I mean, I'm sure Jamie, Mike, and they are probably more metalheads than I am, okay? But at the same time, I get to take some of that other genre and add it in the mix, and that's what I like about it. That's why I love our product.
And then Cassie, who happens to be the youngest member of the band, probably has the most recent influences, probably the most modern influences. The rest of us are all old guys. We have older influences. Cassie, what's your influences?
I mean, some range from, Joan Jett to Hailstorm and Evanescence. I have a lot of different genres also that I incorporate into my vocals. I don't like to, the mold, so to speak. I like to try to split it up.
Yeah, you definitely stand alone on your sound. That's for sure. Which is pretty awesome. It's nice to hear women vocalists that have a different sound from others. There's a lot out there that sound the same, but yours is definitely a different sound. So, I lost my page. So, okay, so going back to the tour that you guys were on.
Radio. For an interview.
Oh, what was that?
I was talking to my wife.
Oh, okay. Okay, you just came in very clear. You sounded like you were talking about.
Yeah. Hey, I was watching a couple weeks ago. I was watching the Dispel interview.
Yeah.
And that's how I come across the radio. That's how I come across the Boneyard. And
right
they were talking about a festival that they're trying to put together next year.
Yeah.
Are you aware of that?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay.
TJ is in the midst of building a stage right now, out where he is, and hopefully by 2022, fingers crossed, we will be ready to go, and we will have parking and camping, and we will be throwing shows regularly, and I'm not sure if I have a graphic of the groundbreaking or not. If my computer works again, I will pull it up. But it's a pretty nice area. He's been working on pulling it together for a couple of years now, and we just finally got to break ground this year. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounded like he had a lot going on there. He talked on it about 20 minutes with Scotty.
Oh, really? I myself was not part of that interview that evening. But I know that we have spoken about it, and he has spoken about it a few times, and we definitely have things going. I'm just waiting to pull this up. My computer's a little slow this evening, and I'm not sure why.
That'd be cool if you guys could
there
keep
it
us on. That'd be cool if you guys could keep us in the loop on what's going on with that.
Oh, we absolutely will. We absolutely will.
Appreciate that.
We would love to have you guys out. Why is this not closing? I don't know why this isn't closing. My computer's, I'm sorry, guys. So, yeah, no. So,
What band does TJ play for?
TJ actually plays on his own, and he collaborates with a bunch of different musicians, and that's how he puts his music together. So he'll write something, and then he'll send it to a drummer or another guitar player or a singer, and they'll put their piece on it, and then they'll send it to somebody else, and they'll put their piece on it. That's how he's been putting, at least the current album that he's working on right now, that's what he's been doing. That's how he's been putting it together.
Cool.
So, yeah. Oh, we lost one of you. So, yeah. So, where can we find all your stuff? Do you guys have merchandise and a website and stuff that people can reach out to find your stuff?
We have 2 songs that we had done on, I believe, Spotify and Pandora. I don't know, there were some issues with it, and some things was supposed to be taken down and revamped on it and edited, but I don't know if it had been done yet or not.
Okay.
So if it's
That
there,
would be a question for Dodie, who incidentally is, I think, taking a breather right now. So she has I think a site she worked with, so there are some things available. And we're a little unprepared. That would probably be better. We need to work on that answer. So I would say yes. I can't tell you exactly what's going on.
Okay. All right. Well, as soon as you find out, please let me know, and we'd be more than happy to post all your stuff.
Tim's back because if we lose you, it's because the battery died. So
okay.
We're gonna get plugged in, but Tim's here now, and maybe he can answer the merchandise question.
Okay. Sweet.
We're having technical difficulties.
That's okay.
You have to bring it up. All right. So merchandise, Tim. How do we go about getting them a way to find our merch?
Our Facebook page.
yeah, our Facebook page. Merch on it. I guess you can also message the band page directly, and we have pictures and I think that's what we have. We have a couple different designs as well.
Okay. Awesome. I feel like we were way more organized when we were backstage before this interview started.
My phone kind of died on me for a minute. I had to chime back in.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like it went from, hey, this is going to be a great organized interview. I couldn't wait to interview you guys. I've been listening to your music all day. It's absolutely fantastic. I was so excited, and then the interview started, and it was like, okay.
This is how we are all the time, though. We just wing it.
Good. I'm glad real life is happening during this interview as opposed to it being all structured then, because at least people get to see, you guys for who you are, right? And you know, for what is worth, the personality behind the band. Because, you know, sometimes you do get, you know, musicians, I guess anybody really in any industry, when you get interviewed, they're hit or miss. Some people are very like prim and proper, and you got to be on time, and you can't screw up, and you can't swear and stuff like that. And then you get, you know, like people like you guys, where you just have fun throughout the entire interview, you know, and enjoy it for what it's worth. You know, I mean, for what it's worth, at least we're trying anyway.
Yeah.
So while they're coming in and out of the show until they figure out their technical difficulties and possibly finish the merchandise question, tell me, I'm just watching, or I was watching a video from 2018 of your performance of Afraid of the Dark. It's pinned on your Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that? Like that song's fantastic.
So I believe the video you're referring to the black and white video, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kevin from Alien Frequency had recorded that for us, and I believe that was one of our first shows out where we had performed, and he did a nice little video for us to try to, you know, so we could get it out and let people see. And we actually did not expect the amount of views that we got on it.
Yeah.
He did a wonderful job on the video, you know, all the panned out views, and, you know, the audio was great. That was also a song that was revamped from Tim's old band. And I just pretty much went in and completely redid the vocal melody on it and turned it into a whole new song, essentially.
Well, it's really good, really good. Excuse me. That was one of the last things I listened to today before we started the interview. So, yeah, no, it's awesome. I highly suggest anybody that's listening to go over to the page and check it out, for sure, like now. So we were talking about merch before you guys disappeared. Had you finished what we were speaking about before you fell out of the stream?
Kind of.
Okay.
I was just getting back. As far as merch, I know we have a merch store page, and there's also links to our merch on our Facebook page.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I heard.
I know we have a merch store page, and there's also links on our Facebook page.
I'm not sure where that background sound is coming from.
It's like a ghost voice.
Yeah.
Actually, some kind of echo. But
Yeah, I'm not sure where it's coming. It just sounds like somebody's talking in the background. Oh, I think it's gone now. No, I think it's settled now. It's a lot quieter now.
See, you thought this was going to go a lot smoother, didn't you?
I apparently thought wrong, which is fine because it makes it more fun.
We're not even like drunk or being obnoxious or anything. It's just technical stuff.
No, I was saying earlier that like when we were backstage and talking, it was all comfortable and ready to go, and I seemed like I was going to be way more on the ball than I am, and it's just not happening that way. But it's a lot of fun. You guys are definitely a lot of fun to be interviewing. So I appreciate it. I appreciate that you guys are making the technical difficulties a little bit easier. So
well, that's what we do on stage too. If we have technical difficulties, we just work through it.
Well, yeah, that's the best way to do it, is just to run with it, I suppose. So it makes things a lot easier in the long run. I mean, it makes for good stories too when you have things like this happen. So
Right.
that's always a bonus. So where you guys are there other bands around you that you guys listen to and work with that you want to give a shout out to?
Jamie. Jamie's actually played bass on a couple of other bands' recordings. If you'd like to elaborate.
The whole scene's still pretty strong. I mean, a lot of the bands survived COVID, and everybody's getting back up and running, trying to get shows up, trying to get back to shows. Yeah. You guys interviewed Scotty a couple weeks ago. I laid some bass tracks down for them with the spell.
Yeah, I love
And then I got a friend of mine, Sean, from Priestbane. He wants me to lay down some bass tracks for him. So, those guys are up and running and trying to get some shows also. And then I keep my eye on a lot of the Cleveland bands along with the Akron bands. Who do we got? We got Dead Earth out of Cleveland who's doing fairly well. A band called Sleep Lord out of Cleveland's real good. You might want to reach out to those guys and ask for Teddy Anderson.
Sure.
Either Calvin Burgess or Ted Anderson from Sleep Lord.
Okay.
If you if you want to reach out to those guys, they'd really enjoy the interview.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And what about venues that are still up and running that you guys think need to be filled and people should check out?
Well, a couple of our main venues are still closed down. Like we all like the Empire, and they're still closed down. It looks like they might open back up at the end of June. But our smaller venues are open, almost full capacity, So it's strange. Their post today said, though, they're about ready to just go ahead and open up full tilt. So we'll see.
Right on.
But yeah, we've got shows. We've got shows booked, man. I mean, we've got not as many as we usually do prior to COVID. But yeah, there's shows coming up.
Right on. Yeah, you guys had mentioned that earlier that you had one coming up in June, and there's another one in July as well.
Yeah, it's actually back weekends. The last weekend in June and the first weekend in July.
Awesome.
And then all the way out in August, the 20th and 21st in Olive Hill, Kentucky, we're playing a festival show out there. It's an outdoor show. They've got camping and all kinds of stuff like that. That's the Summer of Madness tour show. And I think when we play that show, that'll be the farthest away that we've played so far from hometown.
Don't we have something in August?
Yeah, that show in Kentucky.
Yeah, the festival's in August, yep.
Yeah, the big festival.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
On. Awesome. So have you guys ever toured Canada before? Have you guys ever been over here to play?
No, but we'd like to.
No, not as a band. That's why I brought up that festival that you guys were discussing a couple weeks ago. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got mine.
Awesome.
The only time I've ever been to Canada was Niagara Falls.
That's where I live. That's awesome. I was born and raised in Niagara Falls, so you're not missing anything being out of the rest of Canada. We're where it's at.
Yeah, as soon as I got my passport, that was the first place I went. We drove to Niagara Falls, went across the bridge, and went in and stayed.
Nice. I live about 10-minute walk away from there.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's something else. So when we are allowed to play with you guys again, we'll definitely book you up for that festival, as well as I believe TJ is going to be putting some private shows on happening at that area as well when we're allowed to, which I have to say. So we'll make sure that we get a hold of you guys for that. We'll have you down, accommodations and stuff. We have camping and food and all that fun stuff taken care of. And then he lives in Barrie and I live in Niagara Falls. So on top of that stage, there's 2 other opportunities for you guys to play in different cities as well. So once we're able to do things again, we certainly will figure something out for you guys. And we know a few other promoters throughout Southern Ontario in different areas of Canada. So we'd love to have you guys around here for a bit. For sure. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you.
So, yeah. What kind of, I don't know if you guys get asked this question often. What genre would you guys consider yourselves?
Well, see, that's another one of those questions.
Yeah.
There are people that would not consider what we play heavy metal, but with all the stuff I grew up with and all the classic influences and stuff, I would consider us a metal band. We're just, the hardcore death metal that most people associate with.
Right.
I guess a lot of people would just consider us a rock band. I know since coming from the band I was in previously, which is kind of a thrash band, even doing some of the same songs but revamped for this band, it definitely sounds like a different kind of music, even though we're basically playing some of the same songs. Like Cassie said, with her on vocals and, what we're doing now, it does tend to sound a little bit more like classic rock, like a hard rock than a heavy metal. But I don't know. It's hard to pick a genre for what we do.
There's even a little bit of rock in it, if you ask me. We've got time changes. We've got key changes. We've got a multitude of things that really wouldn't make us a typical 3-minute-long song band. Some of our songs are 5 or 6 minutes long, and in turn, there's a progressive side to it that I think it's kind of crucial, because right now, because our songs are longer than the typical radio play, some will say it might be different, but at the same time, there's a ton of people that love that longer theme music, because there's content in that, there's variation. I think that's what is appealing about it, because there is a prog rock side to it that is kind of subtle, but it's there.
Yeah, you guys definitely have a bunch of different elements to your music. That's why I was curious as to what you guys would, not necessarily label your music as, but where do you think you guys fall as far as genres go? So at some point in the show, I always ask everybody, is there anything that we haven't asked you, or that I haven't asked you? Usually it's 2 of us. Is there anything I haven't asked you guys that you want everybody to know?
What do you want everybody to know, Cassie?
Oh, just throw me on the spot, Jim. Thanks.
Right?
Come out and see Valkyrie X.
Yeah, we're a kick-ass band. We put on a decent show, and we enjoy performing for people. If you haven't seen us, just come out. It's worth it.
I think it's important to know that, to make people know that the music we're playing is seasoned. It may be a revamp from another project, but it still is very viable in the music scene, because it covers a wide range of audience, and I think that people need to know that it's got some appeal for everyone. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. So, what are all of your musical backgrounds?
Okay, I'll go.
Awkward 3-second pause and go.
I'm a proud Joe Walsh fan. I love the Eagles, but I've always maintained that the Eagles joined Joe Walsh. That's how much I love him as an inspiration for playing. I'm a big '80s hair metal guy, like Rag. All the atypical hair bands are fantastic, and I love Rush. Speaking of Canada, number one pick here. So I think that Rush and Alex Lifeson have got a huge impact on us. Because even if I don't sound like them, they made me pick up the guitar and learn things, because you want to emulate those people. So I'm positive that if I could add anything to the writing, would be something they would be and they're on.
Jamie, what's your musical background?
My musical background. Oh man, well, this week I'm listening to the Beatles. But no, I grew up, man, in the house as a kid. I mean, we grew up with Leonard Skinner and the Allman Brothers and shit like that. And then as I got older, you know, I started going to, like, you go see Black Sabbath, Metallica, Iron Maiden, you know, and then the next step from there was the New York hardcore scene started coming around. So we started going to check out bands like the Cro-Mags, Agnostic Front, Crumbsuckers, The Exploited, GBH. And then, you know, who came out around that time? It was Slayer, Anthrax, Venom, Exodus, Slayer, and all that. So I've always bounced back and forth from the hardcore to the hardcore metal scene. Always back and forth on that. That's my staple. But I grew up with Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Skinner, a lot of Southern rock, shit like that. I even listen to a lot of outlaw country. You know, I like Cody Jinks, Sturgill Simpson. I like those guys. And anything, you know, anything done well, I'll give a chance.
Yeah.
For the most part, man. You know, I don't pigeonhole myself into one genre. But my staples, I always go back to metal.
I agree. I think if you're a musician at all, you have to be a bit of a music core to be able to drag in appreciate all things. I like Sade. I like Chris Stapleton. I mean, you give me. I'll try anything once in terms of music. So.
That's good to be specific on this show.
You know, I had this conversation the other day. Somebody asked me, they were like, well, what's your favorite band? You know, in 52 years, I have not been able to pinpoint a favorite band. Right. I have a moment where somebody's my favorite artist at that time. You know, It's like I can turn on Sabbath or Maiden anytime and I'm going to enjoy it, you know. But I can't pinpoint who my favorite artist or who my favorite band is. I've never been able to do that.
Bruce wants me to admit that I have Shakira and TLC CDs in my collection.
So do I. And Cher. I love Cher. So
I don't have any Cher, but I was a huge Olivia Newton-John fan.
Wicked.
Just put that out there.
That's
wow,
awesome.
You learn something new every day.
Nice. Yeah, I have all kinds of stuff.
I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry, Tim, but I got to draw the line on a cover song from that one, man.
What, Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah, I don't know if we can make that into metal or not. I guess we could try.
Oh, you need to go check out the Rival Sons version of Hopelessly Devoted to You, because it is amazing.
Oh, my God.
Telling you. I totally would have covered that.
Oh, that's funny.
What about you guys? What are your musical backgrounds?
Well, I've been in music since I've been about 3 years old. I've been doing like music in high school and elementary school, stuff like that. And I was in a band in high school. It was called A Midnight Ride. We didn't really get to perform anywhere except, the basement. But, that happens in high school. It's more so, you keep your grades up and you do good, then this is your guys' hobby. This is what you're allowed to do. After that didn't work out, I played around a couple times in a couple of friends' bands, just hanging out with vocals and stuff. And it wasn't really until I joined About 3X that we actually, started to play out and do shows and, actually perform for people. And with my musical background, I don't really have, kind of like Jamie said, I have a lot of genres that I like, specifically not country, but I like a little bit of everything, and it doesn't really, I like to bring a lot of different styles into my vocals. Just because, when it comes down to it, I do always go back to the genre that I like to listen to. That is, what speaks to me the most. But Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry, my train is derailing hard right now.
It's only Tuesday. I understand. Don't apologize. It's just the beginning of the week.
Well, yeah, that's like a little bit that of my musical background. It would, I like a little bit of everything, but like Jamie said, metal is what I go back to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And where are you at with musical background?
Yeah, Tim.
Oh, me? Oh, I don't know. Mine is whatever my tastes are for the week, kind of like Jamie said. I have a few things that I normally just go back to. I could put on Sabbath anytime and just listen to Sabbath 24/7. But, whatever I happen to be into that week is kind of my thing. I'll listen to it for the whole week or whatever, riding in the car on the way to work and back and forth. As far as like myself, I'm self-taught. I didn't really ever take any guitar lessons. I just picked up guitar and started playing when I was like 12 or 13 years old. Played with a bunch of buddies in high school. We never actually had a band. Just like a whole group of us would get together on the weekends and just play whatever songs we happened to know. And then eventually in my 20s, I started playing out in local bands and have been playing in this area for 20 plus years. This is the first band that's actually gone out and done shows on tours and out-of-state shows. And basically, we're transforming from a Northeastern Ohio band to a whatever you want to call it. We're kind of breaking out of our area, I guess, is one of our goals at the moment that we're pushing. We'd rather be known as, I don't even know what you call it. Just not a local Northeastern Ohio band, I guess.
More like a touring band that doesn't really have a permanent spot, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind.
Which would be the opposite of, a standard play in one area band, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, I guess one of the main goals of playing the out-of-state shows and doing the tour shows is building a crowd base out of our normal area, getting more people to know who we are, in Canada and places.
That was well done. So.
Oh yeah, on top of that, I guess nobody's mentioned, we do have 2 singles on like every streaming site that there is. So if you go to any streaming site for music and look us up, you can find either Undying Love or Shallow Grave. And then later this summer, we're actually planning on going in the studio and recording a full-length thing. So that'll happen sometime this summer when we get time to do it.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to more music coming from you guys. Because everything I've heard so far, I really like.
Well, thank you.
And we'll keep sharing your stuff on the Boneyard and Sofa City Sounds as well, which is another way for you guys to network your band and get out, which we'll talk about backstage when we're finished. And then, we can go from there. I have one more question for you, and then we'll move on for the night. I want to know what all your first concerts were.
Stain.
Okay. There was a venue in Northeast Ohio called Richfield Coliseum.
That's where my first concert was.
And I saw Ozzy, a bunch of us lied, and of course, and said we were going somewhere. Well, I can't remember how we got the tickets, but being the underage drinkers that we were, I remember there was 5 of us. There was supposed to be 6. Anyway, we saw Ozzy. I can't remember who opened up for him, but I remember the one girl got so shined up that she yacked on the back of the guy in front of us, and I thought for sure we were going to get escorted out by that guy and not the security, because it was just, we managed to stick around for the whole show and babysit her, but a bad night, but great time nonetheless. So I guess you had to be there. But yeah, Richfield Coliseum, Ozzy Osbourne, first concert.
Nice.
Cassie, what was your first concert?
Stained at the House of Blues.
Nice.
It was definitely nice. Granted, I almost got in a fight with some asshole that ended up crying his eyes out when they played It's Been a While, but you know what?
We were there,
and that's what mattered.
He bought his ticket too, right?
Yep. Yes, he did. But that was my first concert. Overall, I mean, aside from that guy, it was a great heat. Aaron Lewis did a phenomenal performance.
Yep.
It was a good time.
Right on. I haven't seen Stained yet.
They're great live. Absolutely, it was worth the money. 100%.
Awesome. Tim, what about you?
My first concert was also at the Richfield Coliseum. Because, here in Northeast Ohio, was like the big thing back in the day. But my first concert was Kiss with Queensryche and Alcatraz opening up. That was a really
nice.
Cool.
I remember.
Nice. I'm currently writing a book about Kiss.
Vandenberg on guitar before he was in Whitesnake.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was the first tour Kiss did without makeup, so I didn't actually get to see Kiss with makeup until they did the reunion thing. But my very first show was Kiss right after they took the makeup off.
Nice. I'm learning so much about them. I got hired to write a Kiss Craze book, and it's a tribute to tributes of Kiss.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was never. Oh, it's so much fun. Anybody you guys know that are major Kiss fans, fanatics, people that have worked with Kiss, anything like that, please send them my way. We're trying to build this book either as big as we can or into volumes. So
there's a guy I know that's an enormous Kiss fan, and you'd never guess it by looking at him, but that guy has met everyone, kind of worked with them. I'll see if he can contribute something.
That would be wonderful. That would be awesome.
He's got memorabilia that's he's sold a little bit a while back, and I forget why. I think it might have been a duplicate, but anyways, he's got a pretty major Kiss collection. So pretty
awesome. Right on. Well, I would absolutely love to talk to them for sure.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
So, Jamie, what was your first concert before we move away from this and talk Kiss?
There was a campground when I was a kid in Salem called a Ponderosa Park, and I remember my parents took me there to see the Charlie Daniels Band. I was like 8 years old, and I remember that. But my first show that I remember going to with friends was probably Motorhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was back at the Variety Theater, and that's when they supposedly had broke the decibel record, because the plaster in the ceiling started falling down. I remember I was probably 14 or 15. I was 14 at the time, going on 15. And it was so fucking loud. I remember sitting in class 3 days later, my ears were still ringing.
Yeah.
And then they had put in the Scene magazine that they had broke the Who's decibel record at the Variety Theater. Now they must have, because I remember they were doing their encore. They pulled the plug on the show because the plaster was falling out of the ceiling. It was fucking loud.
That's epic.
But it was so cool, though, because you're a kid. I'm 15 years old, and Warzel had a 6-pack of St. Pauli's Girl, and I was getting crushed because I was in the front, up against the stage getting crushed. And he slid over St. Pauli's Girl for me and my buddy. We were like, yeah, we got a beer from Warzel, So,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I was fucking hooked from then on, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. My first show was Sloan at the Rage in Buffalo.
Ooh.
And it was one hell of a show. It was Sloan and a band called Gravel Pit. And I got this album from them. It was just an instrumental album. I've had it from the day of the show. I paid an American dollar for it, and I have had it signed by them 3 times. So yeah, but Sabbath was actually who got me into metal. The first time I heard Warpegs was it for me. So yeah, so I'm gonna ask the question again. Is there anything else that you guys want to tell us before I shut the world out?
Support your local music scene.
I got nothing.
Who's got nothing?
That was something.
Who's got nothing?
Right on. Well, guys, it's been an absolute blast. And if you want to hang around backstage for 5 minutes, I'll tell you about Sofa City Sounds, and we can chat for another minute about that KISS stuff, and then we can be on our way for the night.
All right.
So awesome. Thanks so much, guys. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.